Josh Philipp is an award-winning investigative reporter with the Epoch Times. He's host of the China Report, an expert on mainland China. He's been spending 10 years researching investigations on the Chinese Communist Party, including Chinese hacking, cyber war, and how they've been spying on their citizens. And we've lately been talking with him about how they've been covering and handling the coronavirus, which apparently started in their country. Josh Philipp, thank you very much for taking the time once again.
Hey, real pleasure being here, Larry. Thank you.
Since we've last spoken, a whole lot more countries are now confirming cases. You have the entire country of Italy on lockdown, Josh. Apparently, 10,000 people have been infected in Italy, and if you translate that into the size of America, you're talking about 60,000 people, or something like that of that scale to take place in America. How is China now handling the coronavirus?
Well, the Chinese Communist Party is trying to play it up like the virus is going away. It's trying to get people back to work. The biggest issue they have is that their economy is at risk of collapsing, and they know that they're going to lose pretty much control in the whole country if they don't get things working again. That's not going to happen because people are terrified still. The Chinese Communist Party, so get this, Xi Jinping himself, the head of the Chinese Communist Party, goes to Wuhan. The people in Wuhan are so angry that they've been going out on their balconies and shouting out in the streets insults at public officials. It's the only outlet they have. The Chinese Communist Party sends police to every single house and watches every single person and makes sure they don't say anything negative and tells them they can only say things of support. If they do anything otherwise, they're going to be arrested. I mean, this is where things are at. It's not getting better in China. There's no signs of it getting better. The situation still seems very bad. The Chinese Communist Party seems to be trying to salvage what it can as things currently stand.
Josh Philipp, is the working assumption still that this virus started in Wuhan?
Currently, that is still apparently the picture, although there are some very bizarre things happening right now. The biggest thing, now this is important to know. Right now, the Chinese Communist Party is launching an information operation. They're trying to say, so one of the Chinese heads, one of the spokespersons came out and said that the virus started in Wuhan, but did not, what do you say, did not or may not have technically originated in Wuhan, suggesting that although the virus is spreading in China, it may not have come from China originally. Then they come out and start saying it came from the U.S. and it's the U.S. bioweapon and all these things. Now, something very bizarre is happening that a lot of the political talking heads are coming out now and they're saying it's racist to call this the China coronavirus. Mm-hmm. And the history that this comes from China seems to be in the process of being erased right before our eyes. Now, is this them just, playing politics around race narratives? Maybe. Is it them falling in line with Chinese narratives? Possibly as well. Regardless, this is what the Chinese Communist Party is pushing for right now.
Joshua Philipp is an investigative reporter with Epoch Times, also host of the China Report. Now, Josh, what is China not doing that they should be doing right now?
Well, China right now needs to be telling the whole world exactly where this disease came from, exactly how it became human transmittable, and exactly what the numbers are so that countries can start preparing for this in ways that actually take into account the real, rate of spread and death rate of this virus. Of course, we saw this article in The Atlantic talking about possible millions of infections given the number of politicians who've been infected. Mm-hmm. They, of course, go over the numbers on this, showing that, of course, the numbers official from the government are not very high, but if you break down the math of the number of government officials being infected, they put the number at possibly 2 million. Now, what does that mean for China? And what does that mean as this virus spreads around the world? This means that the world is horribly ill-prepared for this virus. And I, again, would point back to the Chinese Communist Party and say that they were not honest with the world about how dangerous this virus was and about how serious it was. And so other countries have not been able to prepare properly.
Josh Philipp, should there be no travel in or out of China?
I very much think there should be no travel in or out of China until this whole thing is done.
I understand that that the former president of Iran has sent a letter to the United Nations claiming that coronavirus is a conspiracy that was conceived in a biological lab somewhere.
That's a new one. Well, this is interesting, too, because the Chinese Communist Party is saying the same thing now. Mm-hmm. They're no longer trying to say that it didn't come from a lab. The question they're leaving to people is, which lab did it come from? And they're not saying it came from a Chinese lab. They're saying it came from an American lab. They're trying to pin this on the United States. And I think the big narrative battle we're going to see coming up next is to know, well, was this man-made or was it natural? Is this just a random disease? Or was this just, something from China or somewhere else? We're going to see them saying, this came from America. This is about America attacking China. This is a hostile attack against China. And we're going to see whether the U.S. media and whether the foreign media align themselves to the Chinese narrative that's being pushed by Iran as well, or if they dare to report the facts and actually do some investigation and look at where it actually came from. And currently we're looking into this at Epoch Times, and it looks like it came from that lab right in Wuhan, that P4 laboratory 20 miles up the road from the epicenter of the virus, which is the Wuhan seafood market. 20 miles up the road, their P4 virus.
Josh Philipp, 5 seconds. What grade would you give the Trump administration's response to the coronavirus?
To be honest, I give them about a B. I think they can do better. I think they've been trusting the CCP too much.
Josh Philipp, thank you very much. Appreciate it.